After 10 years of live streaming, I helped my village sell 20 tons of cherries,
making a net profit of 1.8 million won.
But I never expected they'd pull a fast one and replace them with rotten low-grade fruit.
When I went to confront them, the villagers had the nerve to tell me to mind my own business. They said, "Those online followers of yours live in luxury every single day. They deserve to eat some rotten fruit. It's so easy for your fans to make money anyway.
Even if they get a few bad ones, so what?
It's not like we're the ones paying for the refunds." Looking at their smug, greedy faces, I just smirked, turned right around, and went to the neighboring village to source my cherries.
I never imagined I'd make an absolute fortune. Welcome to the Fruit Talk live stream.
Today, I'm taking you all to see Dachin Village's specialty,
our purebred giant cherries.
These domestic giant cherries of ours are actually the exact same thing as imported premium sweet cherries. At 8 p.m.,
I went live right on schedule, setting up my broadcast area right next to the orchard.
As soon as the studio lights hit the trees, the cherries glowed with a brilliant glossy red. They look so juicy they'd make your mouth water.
Order right now in the live stream, and we'll pick and ship them fresh today.
They'll be packed in cold chain shipping within 24 hours, guaranteed to arrive fresh and perfect. I picked up a cherry and held it right up to the camera. Things selling with high energy hype. Behind the camera, my assistant, Xiao Yu, was frantically mouthing words without making a sound, gesturing wildly at me. My heart instantly sank. This was our emergency signal. It meant something had gone horribly wrong.
3, 2, 1. The shopping cart link is live. Get ready to grab yours.
I immediately cut my sales pitch short, put up the buying link, and let the backup dancers take over the screen to keep the energy up, just as Xiao Yu had arranged. Ripping off my mic, I rushed over to Xiao Yu and whispered, "What's going on? We're in deep trouble." Xiao Yu grabbed my arm and dragged me into a quiet corner. He was literally stomping his feet in panic. "What the hell happened?" I asked. "What could possibly make you panic like this?"
小雨还比马盼儿或者侯爷.
He would never lose his mind over some minor issue.
The cherries we just shipped were really slammed. Customers are complaining that the fruits are tiny.
And most of the arrived completely rotten. Xiao Yu quickly unlocked his phone and shoved it
right in front of my face. It was indeed our custom packaging.
But the cherries inside were an absolute disaster. They were tiny, bruised, and completely uneven. They're all squished, moldy cherries. I glanced at the photos. A wave of frustration washed over me. It's not like you haven't dealt with this kind of crap before.
Get customer service on it right away.
Refunds or replacements. Just do whatever it takes. After all, it is our responsibility. Even a refund plus 3 times compensation is fine. Cherries are just so delicate.
Shipping them is like walking a tightrope. If the cold chain slips up even a little during transit, or if there's any rough handling, it's impossible to avoid damage.
My livestream channel pushes thousands of orders a day.
Damaged goods and returns are just part of the daily routine.
And Xiao Yu is no rookie. Now I'm seriously doubting if he can handle anything. He told me, "Bro, if it were just 3 or 5 orders, I would have handled it myself." But this time, something is seriously off. The customer service team said that for the orders sent out last week,
the negative review rate has spiked past 70%, and the return rate has skyrocketed to 90%.
The operations team is absolutely panicking. They said over 1,000 people have ganged up to report us to the platform for false advertising and selling rotten fruit. What the hell is going on? My mind went completely blank. My head about to explode. We've got a massive crisis on our hands.
What's the absolute worst nightmare for an e-commerce seller?
Your brand and your reputation. Hands down. Normally, the operations team handles the comment section.
At most, I'd just glance at it when I had a spare moment.
But lately, I've been doing back-to-back live streams without a break. I didn't have any time to check the back end. With that realization, a cold shiver ran down my spine. I quickly whipped out my phone and opened the comment section. This seller is pure evil.
The fruit I bought was literally mush.
I got scammed too. I sifted through them for ages, and only about 10 of them were even edible. The screen was completely flooded with nasty, hateful reviews. The very first thought that crossed my mind was that some jealous competitor bought fake reviewers to target me. There are countless fruit-selling accounts on this platform, but my sales have always been comfortably in the top 3, especially during the platform's year-end gala last year. My channel swept the awards, winning New Rural Ambassador for Agricultural Assistance and the Sales King Award. Those 3 trophies definitely got in the way of other people's money. When you're shining this bright, you're bound to make enemies. Of course, it's also possible that the cold chain broke down along the way, even though we rented refrigerated trucks from the courier company. At the end of the day, machines can always break down. I played out both of those scenarios in my head, leaving only one final possibility. I coldly stared at Li Dashuang, who was bossing the villagers around in the orchard, loudly yelling at them to pick the fruit. My stomach knotted with unease, but I desperately wanted to squash that thought, telling myself I was just being paranoid.
Xiao Yu, get customer service to contact every single customer who left a bad review or a complaint, right now.
First, apologize immediately and swallow our pride to calm them down. Second, double-check every detail to make sure those orders actually came from our village. Third, if they have ironclad proof, issue a refund of 3 times their money immediately.
or send them a replacement. We need to dig into the back end right now. Find out if these troublemaking accounts are actually hired trolls.
If you find anything fishy,
Screenshot everything and save it as evidence. We'll get ready to take them to court. Keep a hawk eye on the shipping company, too.
pull up all dispatch records and transit routes.
Don't let a single detail slip through the cracks. Got it, bro. I'll get right on it.
Shioa nodded vigorously,
Clutching her phone as she ran off to make a flurry of calls. I took a deep breath, forced a smile, and squeezed back in front of the camera, shouting at the top of my lungs to peddle Daichin Village's cherries. By 10 p.m., we finally wrapped up the live stream, and the final numbers were actually pretty solid. We managed to pull in over 6,000 orders. You youngsters really have the brains for this. Just sitting in a room and selling out a whole harvest like that.
Leda Show chimed in, leaning in with a greasy, wide grin.
I grabbed a bottle of water from the cardboard box at my feet and handed it to him. Well, you still need a good product to make it work. Our village's fruit speaks for itself. Otherwise, I could talk until my throat bleeds, and nobody would buy a single one. Of course, Daichin Village's cherries are so good, they sell themselves. We never have to worry about finding buyers. And once we're done with the cherries, it'll be the honey peaches. And right after that, the golden pears. The second half of the year is going to keep us incredibly busy. Find some time in your schedule, and I'll gather all the village elders. We need to sit down and plan out how we're all going to strike it rich. Li Deshuang unscrewed the cap and chugged down a huge gulp of water. He smiled so wide his face wrinkled up. Sounds like a plan, I replied. Just let me know when works for you. By the way, Uncle Lee, you really need to keep a close eye on the packaging side. A few buyers have already come to complain that there's something wrong with the fruit. We just built up our reputation. We can't let this mess ruin our business. Don't worry about it. It's no big deal.
Go back and get some rest.
We'll keep taking orders tomorrow night.
Lida Shuang waved his hand dismissively,
Turned around and walked away, watching his carefree back as he walked off. I couldn't shake the feeling that something was seriously wrong. Early the next morning, I was fast asleep when a barrage of frantic calls from Chayu woke me right up. Bro, I drove back to the city overnight. Everything you asked for is sorted out. I didn't crawl back home in the dark until almost 2 in the morning. Running back and forth like this every day, I'll get sick from exhaustion sooner or later. It looked like I desperately needed to rent a place near the village. Yawning constantly, with huge dark circles under my eyes, I went to meet Shoyu. Bro, here's your lifeline. Shoyu quickly handed me a freezing cold iced Americano. I gulped down half of the icy drink, finally waking up my foggy brain. Bro, the customer service team investigated the buyers, one by one. The shipments are definitely from us, 100%. Half of them want refunds, and the other half want replacements. We are looking at a huge financial loss. Shoyu opened his notebook, listing all the bad accounts compiled by our team. Okay, I mentally calculated how much money we'd have to throw down. It would take at least 1,600,000 to cover it, and that could easily double later. Bro, don't you think you need to have a serious talk with Uncle Lee? I mean, we only stepped in to help drive traffic to his business. Shoyu looked utterly miserable, his eyebrows knitted together. I'll handle this myself. Any other bad news? I took a deep gulp, by cocky to suppress my anger before asking. What did the back-end check show? Every single account complaining actually bought the products from our live stream. They are definitely not fake accounts hired by our rivals. We even investigated the shipping company inside out. Only one truck had a minor fender bender on the road, which delayed it for about 2 hours, but then it got right back on track. Nothing suspicious there. Xiaoyi laid out all the findings in front of me. So, fake reviews were ruled out. The shipping was fine, but that only made my frown deepen, my brows locking tighter and tighter. My face was clouded with sheer frustration. Xiaoyu, tonight after you finish the stream, keep a close eye on the packaging workshop in Daichin Village. Stay in the shadows. Don't blow your cover, no matter what. Bro, don't tell me you suspect the villagers? Xiaoyu's gears started turning, instantly catching on to my train of thought. But without hard proof, it's all just wild guessing. We take this mess to our graves. Not a word to anyone else, I said, waving my hand, signaling Xiaoyu to calm down first. After all, no matter how this plays out, the one taking the fall and getting screwed in the end is definitely going to be me. I made up a quick excuse, saying I wasn't feeling well, and shut down the sales live stream completely. Although the pile of negative reviews hadn't caused a major uproar just yet, the whole thing was a ticking time bomb. There was no telling when it would blow up right in my face. I pulled so many all-nighters to build up this account. There was no way in hell I'd let it go down the drain like this. Originally, I wanted to find Li Dashuan first to sort out this after-sales mess. Refund whoever we needed to refund, and take back whatever returns we had to take, just to save our reputation as quickly as possible. But out of nowhere, a wrench got thrown in the gears, completely wrecking all my plans. I was actually being sued. The person suing me was a customer who had bought from my live stream. Turns out, his real identity was the big boss of an out-of-town law firm. This guy had dropped a fortune ordering 40 boxes in one go, planning to hand them out to his staff as employee. perks. But when they unboxed them, the big cherries they received were light years away from what I'd hyped up on my stream. And boy, did he act fast. He immediately preserved the evidence, filed a report, and turned right around to file a lawsuit with the court. He was a professional, after all. He went straight for the jugular, demanding tenfold compensation.
And honestly, I couldn't even blame him for being so ruthless.
Looking at the photographic evidence he sent over, even I felt utterly ashamed. It was labeled as a 5-pound box of premium cherries, but when you put it on the scale, it weighed a pitiful 3.5 pounds. Not only that, it was stuffed with cheap fillers, moldy, rotten fruit, and completely substandard low-grade garbage. But here's the absolute worst part. They reserve the right to sue my live stream for fraud.
If this mess actually blows up and goes viral,
Losing money would be the least of my worries.
if things go south, the platform could permanently ban me.
Keep the fire literally at my heels.
I quickly scrambled to contact them.
I flew out overnight to their turf just to beg for a settlement. There was no escaping the payout. For 40 boxes of fruit, according to their rules,
I had to shell out 60,000 yuan up front.
this was a massive wake-up call for me. I had to clean up all the refund and compensation issues immediately. If someone else pops up tomorrow to sue me,
What on earth am I going to do?
to calm the public outrage, I went out of my way to record a video, publicly stating that anyone who bought cherries from my live stream and think they did not match the description just had to show solid photo evidence.
And I would immediately issue a full refund plus triple compensation.
Just like that, I gritted my teeth and pushed through for a few days and watched 1.8 million yuan vanish into thin air. After exerting every ounce of my strength, I finally managed to smooth things over. I felt completely drained. But before I could even catch my breath,
Li Show started blowing up my phone like crazy.
demanding that I rush over to Taeyan Village right away. Which was perfect, because I wanted to go confront those money-grubbing bastards myself. You little punk. What the hell have you been up to these past few days? Why did you suddenly stop live streaming? We have so many cherries piled up in the village that aren't selling. If this keeps dragging on, all the fruit is going to rot right in the fields. You are screwing over our entire village. The moment I stepped through the door of the village committee office, Li Dasheng, with a cold face, immediately started screaming at me. You're not planning to abandon us halfway and run away, are you? Luao Ju, rolling his dead fish eyes, stared at me with pure sarcasm. Weren't you acting all enthusiastic a few days ago? How did you suddenly just vanish into thin air? This is a dirty way to do business. The villagers trusted you. That's why they handed their precious fruit over to you to sell. You can't just play everyone for fools like this.
You disappeared without a single word.
Who is going to pay for the villagers' losses over the past few days? A room full of people, everyone talking over each other. It's giving me a splitting headache. The whole office is just screaming accusations at me. I looked around the room coldly.
Liu Hua, Song La San.
And Chen Laowu. Every single one of them is a supposedly respectable elder in this village.
But hearing what they're saying makes my blood boil.
Every single word out of their mouths is just them, shifting the blame. Make it seem like Daecha Village's cherries not selling is entirely my fault. The most ridiculous part is that Liu Loju, he doesn't even hold a position on the village committee, and his family doesn't even own a single cherry tree.
He's just the village's notorious old troublemaker.
What the hell is he doing here poking his nose into this? Actually, it is perfect timing, because I have some unsettled business to settle with you all too. And yes, it is about Dacian Village's big and premium cherries. I casually pulled up a chair and sat down, deliberately emphasizing the word big.
Sure enough, the moment the words left my mouth,
The faces of these old foxes visibly changed. Some of them started shifting their gaze. Some looked completely clueless. Others looked utterly dismissive. And some even had gloating written all over their faces. Uncle Lee, and all you aunts and uncles here. I didn't stop live streaming these past few days to go on a vacation. It was all because of our village's terrible batch of cherries. Do you have any idea what I have been doing these past few days? I have been cleaning up your damn mess. Our partnership went so smoothly last year, didn't it? Why did it suddenly blow up in our faces this year? How does a 5-pound box of fruit end up weighing only 3.5 pounds by the time it reaches the customer? We agreed on 24 mil. We metered a minimum for premium large fruit. Why are 3/4 of every single box filled with substandard rotten fruit? Rum bright green fruit. And rotten, mushy garbage that should have been thrown in the trash long ago. How did they all end up in the customers' boxes? Which of you is going to stand up and give me an explanation? Expressing my rage, I pulled a stack of photos out of my bag, slammed them onto the table with a loud smack, and demanded answers. The office fell into a dead silence. The old geezers reluctantly started passing the photos around, pretending to examine them. Look, kid, this is fruit we are talking about. It is bound to get a little bumped around during transit. Is there really any need to blow such a minor thing out of proportion? Hey, as long as we made the money, that's all that matters, right? Li Dashwang awkwardly cleared his throat, trying to brush the whole thing off. Uncle Lee, that kind of thinking is going to get us killed. Sure, a single box of fruit isn't worth much. At most, about $100. But we are in this for the long haul. We aren't con artists who rip people off once and run.
If we treat our customers like fools this time, why on earth would they ever buy from us again?
Just over the last few days,
Solely to calm our furious customers down.
I had to pay $1.8 million out of my own pocket for refunds and compensation.
And I almost got hit with a lawsuit 2 days ago.
Listen up, everyone. Doing business these days isn't that simple anymore.
Especially in e-commerce.
The wild days of cash on delivery, no questions asked, are long gone.
Don't think that just because you sold your defective products and pocketed the cash, you're off the hook. The more I spoke, the angrier I got.
Finally slamming my hand on the table.
You brat.
We're all honest, hardworking farmers. Here, stop trying to scare us with your big fancy talk.
$1.8 million? Who are you trying to fool? How much could a stupid box of cherries possibly be worth?
The old men secretly exchanged glances.
And in the end, Li Dashuang stood up to lead the charge. It was obvious
that not a single one of them believed me. They all thought I was just talking nonsense to scare them. You don't believe me, do you?
Open your eyes and take a good look.
Look! These are the transaction receipts for every single refund over the past few days. I whipped out another thick stack of financial statements and slammed them onto the table. I had originally prepared these to show the platform executives to prove my sincerity. Selling those low-quality fruits was indeed my fault for not keeping a closer eye on things.
but as long as they were sold from my live stream, I'll take the fall for it. If I have to pay, I pay. If I have to take the penalty, I take it. I absolutely won't run away from it.
And it's precisely because I owned up to my mistakes
And refunded everyone, without hesitation, that the platform showed mercy and didn't ban my account on the spot.
You brat. What the hell is the point of showing us all this?
列代熊还账地痞。
Casually flipping through a few pages of the statements,
as his face grew darker and darker. You tell me.
why the hell should I be the one paying this unfair money?
Isn't it because there was a massive issue with our village's fruit?
Would the village be the one to pay for this massive financial mess?
Look, I'm not going to beat around the bush.
I'll lay my cards on the table. I'm just a live streaming influencer.
And my relationship with Daichin Village was strictly a partnership.
I hosted those live streams to help you guys promote your cherries, purely to build my own audience.
I didn't take a single cent in commissions or sales cuts.
But now, because Daichin Village played dirty and shipped out rotten fruit,
I'm the one taking the fall for this absolute mess. They've thrown so much of my own money down the drain.
whether we are talking about fairness or basic decency,
Daichin Village owes me an explanation.
these old geezers instantly froze in shock. They exchanged glances, completely clueless about how to dig themselves out of this hole.
Kid, could this be some jealous competitor playing dirty tricks behind our backs just to ruin us?
You know as well as anyone that our cherries are always top tier.
There is absolutely no way we would make such a stupid mistake.
After stammering for what felt like an eternity,
Li Dashuang started frantically passing the buck and making excuses.
I rolled my eyes so hard in my head. If I didn't have rock-solid hard evidence in my hands,
do you really think I'd march into the village committee office alone to demand my money? Uncle Lee, if you're going to keep acting this unreasonable,
then we are just wasting our time.
if it were just one or two customers complaining, I might believe you.
But thousands of customers teaming up to scam us?
Who in their right mind is going to believe that?
Besides, don't be so quick to deny it.
Kid, look at this video on my phone first.
Then we can talk.
I let out a cold laugh.
I pulled out my phone and brought up the surveillance footage. I pressed play. The footage was a bit dark and blurry, but the location and those familiar faces were clear as day.
The video showed everything crystal clear.
Li Dashuang was actually ordering the villagers to bring in boxes of visibly damaged rotten fruit and mixing them in with the high-quality cherries to pack them up, without any hesitation.
This was actually a secret investigation I had asked Xiaowei to do.
At first, I just suspected someone in the village was doing something shady.
I didn't expect her to be so sharp.
She actually managed to capture this irrefutable proof.
When Li Zhang suddenly saw his own face flash on the screen,
He froze instantly. He was so embarrassed, he couldn't utter a single word. Then, someone muttered, "So, you came here today because you want the village to reimburse you for that 1.8 million?
of course, the village was in charge of packing the cherries, and you were the ones cutting corners and passing off garbage as premium goods. Now that the customers are complaining and demanding compensation, it's only natural that the village covers this bill." I glared at him. My tone was completely unyielding.
In your dreams." Yu Laju rolled his eyes.
With a scoff, I turned to him.
Uncle Li, this what you all decided together?
I couldn't be bothered to deal with Wei Lao Shu.
So I turned directly to Li Dashuang to pressure him. "That's right," Li Dashuang said, his eyes shifting nervously.
He cast a glance at the other old geezers
And forced a nod. "You're the one who sold those cherries on your live stream.
so you should be the one paying the refund.
You didn't even give us a heads up throughout this entire thing. And now you expect the village to cough up 1.8 million yuan to bail you out? Nobody in this village is going to agree to that."
别熊杀米的赛会的观赛。
Fondly pinning all the blame on me. Unbelievable.
Oh, that makes so much sense. I laughed out of sheer anger.
Given how Li Dajuhong led the pack in stuffing rotten fruit into the boxes, even if I had consulted them beforehand, these cheapskates would have shelled out a single penny for compensation. So, is this how everyone here feels? I ran myself ragged trying to help you sell your goods, and all the money went straight into your pockets? But when trouble strikes, I'm the only one left holding the bag. Is that it? I swept my gaze over these hypocritical old geezers, asking with a cold sneer, "Kid, Uncle Lee might sound harsh, but he's not wrong. Even if we really had to bleed money, you should have at least run it by us first. But you didn't say a damn word. You just took it upon yourself to refund the money on our behalf. Who on earth would be okay with that?"
New word ha, chimed in mockingly from the side.
Exactly. 1.8 million yuan. You just threw that away with a flick of your tongue. You can't expect us to cover such a massive financial black hole. We're just simple farmers, working ourselves to the bone all year round. How much money could we possibly make? Sun Lassen quickly joined in, crying poverty. Listen, kid, if you ask me, you're just sticking your nose where it doesn't belong. The fruit has already been shipped and sold. I highly doubt those buyers can crawl through the internet to come here and cause trouble. At most, it's just a matter of 100 or so yuan, Jiao added, looking completely indifferent. Now, I finally understood their game. The village committee sure knows how to play their cards. When there's money to be made, every single one of you is sharper than attack. But the second we lose money, you run faster than scared rabbits. A bunch of greedy, heartless bastards. Those words kept ringing in my head. Fine. I must have been blind to trust you. I'll foot the bill myself. I swallowed my pride and stared them down for a long, hard moment. I collapsed back into my chair, completely drained. I forced a bitter smile. Since we're putting this behind us, kid, let's move on to the next order of business. Seeing me shut my mouth, they assumed I was backing down and giving up on the money. The entire room instantly let out a collective sigh of relief.
Li Dashang's eyes darted around,
And he quickly piped up. Go on, what other schemes do you have? I kept my head down, typing furiously on my phone, sending an urgent, non-negotiable order to Xia Yu. I told him to immediately take down all the links for Dane Village's cherries from our shop. I wasn't just acting out of spite. I was just cutting my losses. Before it got worse. Kid, you started selling our village's produce last year, and then you helped us sell our peaches and apples. Your sales numbers were honestly pretty impressive. During that first year, the villagers had their hearts in their throats, taking a massive gamble on you. But now, it looks like your online marketing stuff actually works. Since we're entering our second year of working together, don't you think it's time we put the profit-sharing deal back on the table?
Li Dachuang beat around the bush with his fake, hypocritical pleasantries.
But he finally showed his true colors. He actually had the nerve to demand a cut of the profits. For a second, I couldn't quite figure out his game. Uncle Lee, when I first came to Dacian Village, we had it down in black and white. We agreed that my live streams were strictly voluntary. Every single penny we made from selling those cherries went straight to the village. I never touched a single cent of it. So after a cut, let's forget about it. I don't need the money anyway. But I do need to give everyone here a warning. The village relies heavily on this season's cherry harvest. Our folks work way too hard in these fields. In business, honesty has to come first. Playing these underhanded, short-sighted games will never last. If you ruin Dacian Village's reputation, you won't even have a shoulder left to cry on when it all falls apart. With 1,000 thoughts racing through my mind, I still firmly shut them down, leaving them with one final piece of advice. I'm telling you this straight from the heart. Right now, Dacian Village is nothing but a giant trap to me. I've wanted to get the hell out of here for ages. Kid, you've got it all wrong. The village isn't giving you a cut. You're the one who has to hand over your money to the rest of us. Li Dashuang's mouth curled into a smirk. He pointed a finger right at his own nose and sneered arrogantly. Give you guys a cut? I stood there, completely frozen for 5 whole seconds before it finally registered. My eyes widened as I stared at Li Dajuang like he was some kind of freak. I seriously started to wonder if there was something wrong with my ears. That's right. You're giving us a cut. Li Dajuang nodded without a shred of hesitation. His tone was so self-righteous it was sickening. One's gone. My back teeth ground together so hard they practically squeaked. I was nice enough to waste my own time helping Dayton Village sell their produce for free. I didn't even take a single penny for my trouble. And now, these ungrateful leeches are turning around to stab me in the back, eyeing the commission from my live stream. You do your live streams in our village every single day. You're taking up our village's prime, lucky spot. And what you're promoting is our village's red cherries. So, shouldn't you follow the rules and pay tribute to the village with all those virtual rockets and yachts you make from streaming?
有老鸠该咬的新的是亏皮拉粪的下。
He even raised his hand and rubbed his fingers together to mimic counting cash. We've done our homework. A kid like you can easily pull in hundreds of thousands of yuan in just one single stream. All you do is talk, and the money just pours right into your pocket. Making money has never been this freaking easy. So, The few of us had a little private meeting. From now on, you must hand over this money and share it with everyone. You get 20%, and the village takes 80%.
Ma's eyes gleamed with pure, sickening greed. Spit was flying everywhere as he spoke.
It was a pity my throat didn't have any spit built up right then. Otherwise, I would have absolutely spat right in his face.
Then why don't you search your damn conscience and do some math?
How many tons of cherries did I help this village sell? Did I ever take a single cent of commission from you people?
So, you guys refuse to take any losses, but want to hog every single benefit?
You just want to drag everything into your own bowls, don't you?
I completely lost my mind at this point. What kind of monsters and demons were sitting in this room?
What kind of freak show is this entire Dacian village anyway?
Why did I waste my time and effort promoting their products for free?
Wasn't it just to build some goodwill, gain a few followers, and earn a little extra in tips?
But look at this now.
Not only did these people behind my back sell rotten fruit and completely ruin my reputation, those shameless vampires, they actually have the nerve to target my hard-earned tips. Can they be any more shameless? Well, I don't give a damn about that.
Either way, our village isn't going to get the short end of the stick. The village chief, Yu Laozhu, stiffened his neck stubbornly and acted like a total local thug, basically saying, either pay up or get lost.
And what if I absolutely refuse to pay? I took a deep breath, my eyes cutting like knives across their faces,
before locking dead onto Li Dashong's face. Listen up, kid.
You can't expect to keep all the profits to yourself.
If you're dead set on not parting with even a single penny,
Then don't you ever dare set foot in Dacian village again.
Mi Dashong spread his hands.
shrugged his shoulders.
Wearing that punchable, shameless smirk on his face, like a dead pig that doesn't care about boiling water. He even let out a cocky laugh.
so they think they've got me cornered because they think I can't survive without Dacian village? Fine.
I've finally seen all of your ugly, greedy faces for what they truly are today.
Since we've laid all our cards on the table,
There's absolutely nothing left to talk about. From this day on, I will never take even half a step into Dacian village ever again. So
we go our separate ways.
And it's best if we never see each other again for the rest of our lives.
with that, I stood up abruptly, grabbed my bag off the table, and stormed out with long strides.
Kid,
Right as I was about to step over the threshold,
Li Dashong suddenly roared in frustration behind me.
I paused and turned my head.
the old geezers in the room all looked like they had just seen a ghost.
Clearly, not a single one of them expected me to just flip the table and walk away. But of course,
In the eyes of these greedy old bastards,
they must have thought they held my lifeblood in their hands, and that I'd eventually bow my head and obediently hand over the protection money.
I'm warning you.
Young man, don't be so arrogant and hot-headed.
Li Dashong slammed the table in a rage, pointing right at my nose and barking furiously.
If a young man isn't hot-headed, then what's the point of being young?
I sneered, throwing the words right back in his face, and strode out without looking back. We're going back to the city. Terminate every single contract in cooperation with Dacian village. Immediately. I yanked open the car door, slid inside, and coldly snapped at Xia Yu in the driver's seat. Over the past few years, short videos had been absolutely booming, and I had spotted the gold mine hidden within them right from the start. I quit my job on the spot, went back to my hometown, and jumped headfirst into social media.
Because fruit is literally my life?
My channel's content naturally revolved entirely around it. I randomly threw together a name.
Calling it Fruit Talk. At first, I just posted fun fruit facts and weird ways to eat them,
Or taught my followers how to carve fancy fruit platters.
but with my unique camera presence and slightly offbeat, hilarious commentary,
I surprisingly grew a pretty decent following. One day, I was driving around aimlessly looking for inspiration and passed through Dacian village. I saw a bunch of villagers gathered around a fruit tree, and the scene just stuck in my mind.
then a light bulb suddenly went off.
I realized I could make a serialized documentary series, capturing every single day of a fruit tree's journey, from sprouting all the way to bearing fruit. No sooner said than done. I went home, pulled an all-nighter, and buried myself in research, acting out the entire shooting schedule overnight. As for the filming location, there was only one choice. Didier Village, the place I drove past that afternoon. It's known as the Land of Fruits, and they are most famous for their giant sweet cherries.
The village has 9,000 mu of land.
And 2/3 of it is covered in cherry trees. The rest is all peaches and apples. After staying in the village to film for over a month, I got really close with the locals. Alongside the hardcore growth journals of the fruit trees, I also sprinkled in some raw, everyday moments of rural life. As it turned out, my gamble paid off big time. Ever since I started posting the Dacian Village series, my audience engagement went through the roof. My follower count exploded, easily smashing the 10 million mark, striking while the iron was hot. I started live streaming to chat with all my followers who loved the rustic lifestyle. Man, every time I went live, the virtual gifts and tips would be at least tens of thousands of yuan. On a good day, it would shoot straight up to hundreds of thousands. In the blink of an eye, July arrived, and the cherries in Dayton Village were finally ripe. Looking down from the hilltop,
The trees were heavy with deep, dark red cherries.
they looked absolutely mouthwatering. You'd think everyone would be overjoyed by such a massive harvest, but instead, The whole village was dead silent. From Uncle Lee down to the field workers, everyone had faces longer than a donkey's. I pulled someone aside to ask what was going on. And that's when I found out. Turns out, the big shot buyer who always bought our harvest took a massive hit on his investments and went completely bankrupt. We were absolutely screwed. An entire cherry harvest of Dacian village was stuck in our hands. Left hanging on the trees, they were about to rot right before our eyes. Seeing the villagers, who usually joked around with me, so worried they couldn't even eat, it really broke my heart. Just then, a ton of followers in my comment section were drooling over the bright red cherries in my videos. They were blowing up my DMs every single day, begging me to sell them some to satisfy their cravings. Seeing how other big influencers instantly started doing live streams to rake in cash once they got famous, to be honest, I was getting a bit restless too. Having been in the content creation game for so long, I knew exactly how to work the camera and hook the audience. I knew I'd end up doing live stream sales sooner or later. So, after talking it over with the villagers, I officially unlocked this new quest of live streaming cherry sales. Even though I was completely flying blind, I didn't dare to boast that I could clear out all the inventory. So when we discussed the partnership, I stood my ground and didn't ask for a single penny in commission. Put simply, it was pure volunteer work. Whether we sold only 10 pounds of these thousands of acres of cherries or cleared the entire stock, I wasn't going to take a single penny from the villagers' pockets. At first, the people of Dacian village were just treating this as a last-ditch effort. But to everyone's shock, the very first stream completely blew up. In just 1.5 hours, we pulled in a mind-blowing 5,000 orders. Seeing that this actually worked, the village jumped right on it. They immediately struck while the iron was hot, setting up a small packaging workshop dedicated to shipping. A lot of my longtime followers also started flooding my inbox with awesome suggestions. Things like putting more effort into the packaging, or grading the fruit by size to sell the premium ones at a higher price. And with all these moves, Nickman Village finally saw a way out of their crisis. I was so pumped. It felt like I had adrenaline pumping through my veins. I went on a crazy run, live streaming for an entire week straight. We were hitting a guaranteed minimum of 5,000 orders every single day. At our peak, we hit a mind-boggling 13,000 orders in a single day. And on top of that, the virtual gifts from fans in every single stream easily reached 6 figures. Especially after everyone found out I was doing this entirely for free. Even spending my own money to help out. The fans started showering me with real, hard-earned cash. The second my face popped up on screen, the entire screen would be flooded with virtual rocket gifts. Once I finally got through that insane week, I stared at the 7-digit balance in my bank account and completely lost my mind. I knew that life-changing wealth had finally found its way to me. I immediately started recruiting and putting together a professional team. Camera crew, video editors, copywriters, and even a team dedicated entirely to customer service and operations. Within just a few days, I had everything fully set up and ready to roll. 1.5 months later, as the cherry season wrapped up, thousands of acres of what used to be unsellable fruit in Dayton Village were completely gone. Not a single box was left. I sold out every last one of them. Sure, I had to cover some of the packaging costs myself, but selling online brings in a much higher price per unit. When you do the math, they made way more money than they ever did, dumping their harvest in bulk to those cheap middlemen. The villagers were busy counting their stacks of cash, thanking me like I was their absolute savior. The moment the cherry season ended, the peaches were ready. Riding the wave of my cherry success, I jumped right into live streaming the peaches. After that, it was apples. And then pears.
We went straight from summer into autumn.
Every fruit Dacian village produced was flying off the shelves in my stream. I was making an absolute killing, and the village was swooning in cash. It was a textbook win-win. I always prided myself on this partnership. It was clean, no greedy profit sharing, light years ahead of those shady streamers who charge outrageous upfront slotting fees. So, the second this season rolled around, I rushed right back to help them sell their cherries. But in my wildest dreams, I never could have imagined this bunch of ungrateful wolves, whom I fed and made rich, wouldn't have a single drop of gratitude in them. They actually dared to plot against me. I thought I had already played my cards ruthlessly enough. Even that massive 1.8 million yuan refund, I grit my teeth and paid out of my own pocket to cover the loss. At the end of the day, Dacian Village is nothing but a backdrop for my videos. Even if we burn bridges completely, I am still Fruit Talk, the mega influencer with 10 million loyal followers. I have got die-hard fans, a killer team behind me, and thanks to that massive refund I issued the other day, I've actually built an incredibly solid reputation online as an honest guy. I would love to see who they will sell their pile of rotting fruit to without me. I went home and laid low for a few days, just posting my usual educational fruit videos while plotting my next big move. The comment section was flooded with fans begging me to stream again, so I told my operations team to filter the comments. They pinned a message saying we fell short on the cherry quality control and that we are taking time to deeply reflect and make things right. With this clever move, I easily secured another massive wave of public goodwill. Then, bro, Uncle Lee from Jiao Village wants to invite you for tea. Will you give him the honor? Xia Yu suddenly sent me a message on WeChat during these few days of resting. Li Dashua went absolutely ballistic. He called me 3 times in a row. In the first call, he tried to play nice. He admitted he'd lost his mind that day, and said some awful things. He shamelessly begged me to go back and keep selling his fruit. I rejected him without a second thought. The second and third calls had the exact same purpose. He offered to back down, dropping their cut from 80% to 40%. But Li Deshuang, I already made myself crystal clear in that meeting room. I will never set foot in Dachin Village ever again. You people can act like shameless deadbeats, but my word is final. So don't ever contact me again. We are cut from different cloths, and we have nothing more to say to each other. By the third phone call, I shut him down completely, but he just barked. Who the hell do you think you are? You're just a pathetic online beggar selling cheap smiles for pennies. Do you really think Dating Village's fruit is going to rot on the trees without you? Seeing that I wouldn't budge, Li Deshuang flew into a rage, cursing and spewing absolute filth. Keep your mouth clean, Li Deshuang. I'm recording this entire conversation. If you dare utter one more vulgar word, believe it or not, I'll call the cops and report you for harassment to throw you behind bars for a few days. I let out a cold laugh and hung up on him immediately. I must have been utterly blind back then to ever help trash like them sell their goods. All my passion and hard work was wasted on a pack of ungrateful wolves.
The Zhao village that Yao Yu mentioned is right next to Dachin village.
They have a much larger territory and also make a living by growing fruit, but their reputation is way more prestigious than Dachin village. This Uncle Zhao Li suddenly asking to meet me. I knew exactly what game he was playing. After a quick thought, I told Xiao Yu to accept the invitation.
安头炸力退的 meeting 上
At a tea house right in the city center. The ambiance was exactly to my liking.
小有脱名了，福分系列。
Uncle Zhao Li had specifically asked around about my personal preferences, just for paying attention to that small detail. I already gave Uncle Zhao Li 10 extra points before we even met. Brother Jinyan, I'm sorry to bother you so suddenly.
I really hope you don't mind.
Please forgive my intrusion.
Uncle Zhao Li was already waiting at the entrance of the tea house early on.
As soon as he saw me hop out of the car, he immediately came up to greet me with a warm, beaming smile. He was dressed in a crisp white shirt and black trousers, with a pair of retro, square gold-rimmed glasses resting on the bridge of his nose.
Honestly, Uncle Zhao's vibe completely shattered my stereotype of a village leader. Compared to Li Dashuang's thuggish, aggressive look and his messy, unkempt beard,
Uncle Zhao was the definition of refined and gentlemanly. He even had the scholarly aura of an old university professor. My friend, let's use tea instead of wine today. Here's to you.
Thank you so much for agreeing to meet with me today. I'm here on behalf of everyone in Zhang Village, young and old alike. We sincerely want to invite you to partner with us.
The moment we sat down, Uncle Zhao raised his teacup and got straight to the point. Uncle Zhao, you're being far too polite. For a busy man like you to personally invite me out for tea, it's truly an honor. I quickly stood up, raised my cup, and clinked it against his. But Uncle Zhao, let's lay our cards on the table. I'm sure you've heard about the mess I had with Dachin Village. To be completely honest with you, after going through all that, I've got a bit of PTSD when it comes to partnering with village collectives. I took a sip of my tea, not hiding my reservations at all, and laid out my worries. I completely understand how you feel, my friend. But please, rest assured,
Zhao Village and Kaishan Village are two completely different
world. Uncle Zhao summed his chest confidently.
To be honest, our Zhao village used to be dirt poor too. When I was a kid, I could only dream of having a single bite of meat. Later, I worked hard and got into college, but my family couldn't even afford the tuition. It was the villagers, chipping in 50 or 100 yuan each, who scraped together enough money to send me there. So after graduation, without a second thought, I came straight back to the village. I led everyone to plant fruit trees and build up agratourism. After years of hard work, Zhao Village is now, without a doubt, the wealthiest village in the entire city. Today, we have 7,000 acres of cherry orchards,
3,000 acres of peach orchards
3,000 acres of apple orchards, and another 7,000 acres of greenhouse orchards. We even have the Zhao Village Resort Town, which spans over 5,000 acres, offering a complete one-stop experience for dining, lodging, and entertainment. Uncle Zhao's words flowed rapidly and passionately, completely laid bare all of Zhao Village's assets, down to the very last penny. My jaw nearly hit the floor as I listened. The entire village has transitioned into a commercialized powerhouse, where everyone works hard and shares the profits. Just those two things alone were enough to blow my mind. This Chief Zhao is definitely a bold and ruthless visionary. With an operation as massive as Well Village, and me being just a simple live stream seller, you really think too highly of me, sir. Brother, you are far too humble. We are in the internet age now. Everyone relies on their phones to see the world. To be completely honest, I've had my eye on you ever since you sold out those cherries in Dachin Village last year. I even went to the scene in secret to scope you out. And let me tell you, I was green with envy. You cleared out their entire fruit stock just through live streams. It was so effortless and incredibly profitable. Brother, I am pouring my heart out to invite you one more time. Bring your team over to Zhao Village. Not only will you handle our fresh fruits all year round, but I also want you to be the exclusive brand ambassador for Zhao Village. We can leverage your massive online popularity and put Zhao Village on the map nationwide. Yu Xiao stared at me, his eyes filled with absolute sincerity. I couldn't help but marvel at how an outsider could see things so much clearer than anyone else. An outsider can recognize my commercial value, while those greedy idiots in Dacian village only care about how to suck me dry. The grand promise Chief Zhao painted had indeed hit me right where it counts. Zhao Village's territory is a whopping 3 times the size of Dacian Village. This meant I could finally spread my wings and pull off something huge. Plus, they have massive stretches of greenhouses. This meant my live stream would never run out of best-selling fruits all year round. But the absolute best part was their resort town. Combining agriculture with tourism would completely break through any resource barriers. I would no longer be stuck in the dead end of just selling fruit. Chief Zhao, your intelligence network is remarkably wide-reaching, isn't it?
I didn't rush to seal the deal.
Instead, I decided to play hard to get.
We're all from neighboring villages here, and everyone has relatives around. Besides, brother, what happened to you has already spread like wildfire.
Now, I'm not one to gossip, so I won't comment on their messy drama. But to put it simply, that crowd in Dacian village was just too greedy. They are nothing but narrow-minded fools.
Uncle Joe leaned back in his chair with a casual, easy smile.
Uncle Zhao, if I bring my team over to Zhao Village,
What kind of terms are we talking about? Now that I had a good grasp of his hand, I cut straight to the chase.
No strings attached whatsoever, Uncle Zhao said.
He pulled a few sheets of paper from his briefcase, slid them right over to me. It was a partnership agreement. They even had the contract ready to go. Talk about efficiency.
This was absolute unmatched sincerity. My friend, as long as you start streaming from Val Village,
We'll make sure you never run out of stock.
in winter and spring, we have greenhouse cherries and strawberries.
In summer and autumn, we transition to fresh outdoor cherries, flat peaches, and apples. Every single cent you get from tips in your stream,
Zhao Village won't touch a dime of it.
it's all yours to keep as personal pocket money. For the fruit sold during the summer and autumn seasons, we'll give you a 5 yuan cut per order. And during the slow winter and spring seasons, we'll give you a 10 yuan cut per order.
The resort town has already set up online ticket sales.
For every tourist who clicks through from your live stream, you'll get a 20 yuan commission per ticket.
If there is even the slightest defect in any shipped product,
Our Job Village group will handle all refunds and cleanups.
we will absolutely never let it affect you.
The village won't pressure you with any performance targets.
Even if you stream and get absolutely 0 views or sales.
None of us will have a single word of complaint.
On top of that, rain or shine, every single month, the Zhao Village group
We'll transfer an extra 100,000 yuan to your account as a guaranteed signing fee.
Now, if we absolutely have to stick to one single rule,
It's that while streaming in our village, you absolutely cannot link to our rivals' premium products.
my friend, what do you say? Is that enough sincerity for you?
I looked down and scanned the contract terms, while Uncle Zhao stood by, breaking down every single offer for me. The pleasantries from earlier were just empty promises at best.
But these terms in black and white were a literal goldmine. Every single line was practically shoving benefits down my throat, threatening to blow my mind.
They were treating me like royalty.
The entire document didn't even mention Dacian Village once.
It was a massive, humiliating slap in the face to them. Of course, my friend. If you still have any concerns,
Just name your price. After all, you're the one calling the shots now.
this paper is just our starting point. The paddocks per... There's no need to sign on the dotted line right this second. Take your time and think it over when you get back.
Shoot me a message on WeChat anytime.
Besides having some tea today, I mainly wanted to drag you over to Zhao Village to inspect the goods yourself. Just past noon?
I followed right behind Uncle Zhao Li as we stepped into Zhao Village.
Thousands of acres of cherry orchards stretched all the way to the horizon. The trees were drooping with ripe, crimson cherries. The quality absolutely blew Dayan Village out of the water. Uncle Zhao Li, since you know exactly how I got burned in Dayan Village,
I love to know how you stop your people from cutting corners, shortchanging customers, and mixing in rotten fruit.
in my heart, I had already made up my mind to sign the deal with him.
but I had to lay down the hard truth first.
My friend, you can put your mind completely at ease on this.
We have 2 main defenses. First,
Every single villager owns shares.
Even if a single cherry falls from a tree, it's considered everyone's shared property. If one single piece of fruit goes bad, it directly hurts the pockets of the entire village.
who would dare risk turning the whole village against them by messing with everyone's livelihood?
Second, the rejected cherries don't go to waste either. We set up a small zoo in Dujia town.
We pick rationed the bruised fruit as animal feed to sell to tourists at a premium for feeding. We have absolutely no reason to pull dirty tricks like passing off.
Thank fruit as premium goods.
The Zhao Village you see today. In an empire we old-timers fought tooth and nail to build, and it's what the entire village relies on.
We have to preserve this gold standard reputation for our children and grandchildren,
So they can live comfortably for generations to come.
Uncle Zhao Li was beaming with pride.
his eyes overflowing with absolute confidence. I nodded slowly and deeply. When you have a bigger vision, the way you play the game is on a whole different level. Come on, my friend. Right up ahead is our gold mine. Zhao Village town.
Let me show you what real success looks like. Brimming with excitement, Uncle Zhao Li led me straight toward the resort town.
A single all-inclusive ticket gets you access to everything. Aside from dining and buying local souvenirs,
There isn't a single hidden fee or tourist trap in sight.
With top-tier amusement rides and absolute 5-star service.
it's nothing short of a world-class experience.
Listening to Uncle Zhao Li lay it all out like this.
The people working in the town, from the ones running the ring toss to the dancers, we're all our own villagers.
I walked away with a massive pile of prizes.
By the time the sky was pitch black,
Uncle Zhao Li dragged me to grab a massive feast of local specialties.
And we got to enjoy some stunning night views along the way. It really was incredibly lavish. A resort built by just some random village had facilities that could easily go toe-to-toe with those famous established tourist spots.
Brother, as long as you nod and step through the gates of Yao Village,
We're brothers in arms, bound to the same armor. I'm speaking straight from the heart. Just say the word. And from an old-timer like me, down to the stray dog at the village entrance.
We are entirely at your disposal.
Before I left, Uncle Zhao Li gripped my hand tightly, swearing his absolute loyalty. You treat me with real sincerity, and I will literally lay down my life to pay you back. I squeezed his hand back and sealed this massive deal right then and there. As soon as day broke, my core team marched into the Zhao Village headquarters in full force. Uncle Zhao Li was incredibly reliable. Not only did he get all our daily needs completely sorted out, but he also put together a special crew on standby to help his stagehands at any moment. At 8 p.m. sharp, we went live.
After 2 hours of intense high-energy streaming, we successfully wrapped things up. Our die-hard fans' buying power was off the charts.
They snatched up all 18,000 orders in a complete frenzy. The very first battle I fought for Zhao Village ended in an absolutely stunning victory right out of the gate. After devouring the lavish late-night feast Uncle Zhao Li prepared for us, I turned around and headed straight to the packaging workshop in the back to inspect the work. This workshop completely blew Daichin Village's crappy assembly line out of the water. The rules here were strict, with several major quality checks.
First, automatic machines scanned and sorted the fruit precisely by size. Second, the sharp-eyed local aunties
Performed manual re-inspections.
If there was even the tiniest blemish on the skin, it was immediately tossed out.
Only then did they go through the final, seamless process of weighing, sealing, and packaging. Seeing the villagers keeping such a meticulous, eagle-eyed watch, the heavy weight in my chest finally lifted. From then on, our live sales went into absolute overdrive. Daily orders consistently held strong at the 10,000 mark, with absolutely zero negative reviews across the entire web. I could truly feel that we had completely broken through the competition and established a solid foothold. Meanwhile, Daichin Village, the ones who stabbed me in the back, had hit a complete dead end. Unbelievable. The absolute second I walked out that door, Levetio rushed to throw together some half-assed amateur crew, trying to copy me step by step and start live stream selling. But these idiots had absolutely no idea what the real secret sauce of live streaming actually is.
Mi Dashuan thought live streaming was as simple as opening your mouth and talking, but Zhao Lushu saw right through it. The whole game is built on having a fan base.
without fans, who is going to watch you yell at the camera?
Who is actually going to open their wallet and buy your stuff?
They scrambled around for days.
But Daichin Village was all hype and zero results.
They couldn't even squeeze out a single order. That was their wake-up call. They scrambled to pay some industry insiders for advice.
Only then did they learn that real selling requires actual influencers.
Without a name, you were just talking to yourself. With the cherries piling up like mountains in the warehouse and about to rot into complete mush, Li Deschamps had to swallow his pride and beg other influencers to save them.
But those influencers do not work for free. They demand slot fees up front.
Aside from someone like me who actually lost money to help them, who else would do this for free? Everyone wants their cut. Without cash in hand, nobody is helping you. Left with no choice, the Daichin Village crew gritted their teeth and pooled their money to pay those fees. At first, things actually started looking up. We were barely scraping by, selling 2,000 to 3,000 orders a day. But then, these greedy bastards started plotting again. They figured they could make back the slot fees by cutting corners on the cherries. They started shortchanging customers and mixing in rotten fruit. Unsurprisingly, the comment section was instantly flooded with terrible reviews. People only bought the stuff to support their favorite influencers. But nobody wants to be taken for a fool. But Li Deschamps and his clueless crew had absolutely no idea. They thought their cheap little tricks would make them a quick buck. But the people who make it as top influencers are not pushovers you can just mess with. You can always make more money. But once your reputation is ruined, you are done. The influencers immediately confronted Li Deschamps, demanding full refunds and immediate changes. But do you think these scumbags would actually listen? Not a chance.
The hired influencers had to cut their losses
And packed up their bags to flee overnight. After pissing off and driving away 3 influencers in a row, the Daichin Village became a complete minefield in the industry. Even the devil itself wouldn't dare to go this far. Only then did Li Deschamps completely lose his cool. He finally remembered how good I had been to him and started blowing up my phone like an absolute madman. He cried and begged me to come back, but I didn't even bat an eye. I just shut him down with a flat no. When they saw that playing nice didn't work and found out I had moved my live stream over to the neighboring Zhao village, that greedy mob from Dayan village lost all sense of shame.
They actually rounded up a bunch of thugs to come and drag me back by force.
Luckily, Uncle Zhao heard about it early and brought the entire resort's security team over to act as my personal bodyguards.
That was the only thing that stopped Li Dazhuhang from pulling off his desperate kidnapping attempt.
You can blame being legally illiterate on a lack of education,
But acting like blatant thugs? That is pure, rotten to the core evil.
by the time the police rushed over, after getting the call, Li Dashou was still screaming like a rabid dog, yelling, "He belongs to Dayton Village.
He has to come back with us, and he needs to pay us back for all the fruit that rotted in our hands.
Looking at his hideous face, like he wanted to rip me apart and eat me alive.
Cold. Sweat poured down my back.
Thank God I got out when I did.
If I'd taken Dayan Village any longer, those scumbags
Would have drained me dry and ruined my life.
The chaotic brawl had caused such a massive scene.
That tourists visiting Zhao Village filmed the entire thing and posted it online.
It went viral and exploded on the trending charts instantly.
I decided to ride the wave and started a live stream.
Exposing every single dirty detail of this entire mess. Public opinion flipped instantly. The entire internet was backing me up, furiously condemning the greedy, black-hearted villagers of Dacian.
Didamon Village's reputation was completely ruined. Their orchards were overflowing with fruit, but even at dirt cheap prices, not a single buyer would touch them. Now, the timing was perfect.
I went straight ahead and slapped them with a lawsuit, dragging those villagers right into the defendant's dock. Back then, those parasites shamelessly conned me out of 1.8 million of my hard-earned money. I'm not running a charity.
Even if that money didn't end up directly in their pockets,
They'll have to spit every single cent back out, with interest. My friend,
You are our Zhao Village's honored guest.
put your mind 100% at ease.
An entire village is standing right behind you.
if we need money, we'll put up the money.
If we need people, we'll provide the people.
Uncle Zhao brought his group's powerhouse legal team and stood firmly behind me.
The moment the news of the lawsuit against Dacian Village got out, it instantly dominated the top of every trending list.
With billions of eyes across the internet watching their every move.
Court fast-tracked our case immediately
It was filed that very same day.
and set for a public hearing just 2 days later.
On the day of the trial, my loyal fans formed their own support squads, traveling from all over the country with huge banners to show their support and cheer me on. The gallery was packed to the brim with journalists and media outlets,
Their massive cameras and recording gear already set up.
the entire trial was live-streamed across the whole internet.
At 9 a.m. sharp, court was officially in session.
I sat confidently at the plaintiff's table, flanked by Uncle Zhao, Uncle Li, and my powerhouse legal team.
Meanwhile, Lai Dashang sat at the defendant's table, surrounded by Nuer Hua, Sun Laosen, and the rest of those corrupt village thugs.
He actually had the nerve to glare at me with pure venom, his face practically screaming that he did nothing wrong. As soon as the judge slammed the gavel,
The entire courtroom fell dead silent.
After going through the standard opening procedures, my lawyer stood up and went on the offensive, presenting a mountain of ironclad evidence right to the judge.
after the plaintiff terminated his contract to work with Zhao Village, he was targeted by a ruthless gang led by Li Dazhuhang.
Who deliberately cornered and trapped him.
This constitutes suspected unlawful imprisonment and personal threats.
We demand criminal charges be brought against those involved, alongside full civil compensation.
And here is the high-definition security footage from that night.
My lawyer delivered a devastating blow. Immediately, the defendant started screaming, "We've been framed!" He faked all this evidence.
This punk It is intentionally trying to smear us.
We didn't kidnap him. He used to do live streams in our village, so he belongs to our village. He should have gone back to work obediently. Instead, he went on strike and let all our village's cherries rot on the ground. He is the one who needs to compensate us for our losses. While the judge was reviewing the evidence, Li Dashong and his legally illiterate gang actually started throwing a wild tantrum right there in the courtroom.
Even though the people in the gallery weren't all legal experts, they at least had common sense and knew the law.
Hearing such an absurd argument, they all burst out laughing at the sheer stupidity.
This courtroom farce was broadcast live to millions of netizens nationwide. People in the chat started spamming. Are they a village committee or a gang of bandits?
How do they have the guts to spew such utter garbage in court?
Does this village think they literally own the streamer?
No wonder everyone says, if you value your life, stay far away from Dacian Village.
I used to think people were just exaggerating online to hate on them.
Today, my eyes have been completely opened.
Just look at these old thugs' faces. This pathetic village is a literal death trap that will destroy anyone who enters.
I glanced down at my phone. The live chat was flying by at lightning speed, completely filled with furious comments condemning Dayton Village. With the chain of evidence being flawless and authentic, the defense's desperate excuses? Completely useless. With a face as cold as ice, the judge bangs his gavel, sealing their fate. Since the entire trial is being broadcast live to the public, all the undeniable proof our lawyer slammed down is projected onto the giant screen for a brutal public exposure. Our side also submits an additional piece of evidence, undercover footage shot by a local TV reporter, and requests to play it.
Our lawyer raises a hand to unleash another killer move.
The request is granted.
The judge nods in approval. The video is immediately switched to the center of the giant screen.
The camera cuts directly to the orchard in Daichin village. The screen is filled with familiar faces from the village. I heard GA.
They sued your village.
What on earth happened? What else could it be?
He stubbornly stuck around our village to host those live streams.
Since he made money, shouldn't he at least share a bit of the gravy with us? But he didn't take a single penny. He promoted your products for free.
You didn't give him a single dime. Why on earth should he have to pay you out of his own pocket?
But those are the fruits from our village he's selling.
Why should he get the money?
He's making money on our turf.
Why shouldn't he pay tribute to us?
Just listen to this insane logic.
Sitting in the plainest seat, I'm completely speechless. I heard that during the recent massive boom in sales.
Every single box you shipped out was filled with rotten fruit. How did you manage to fool them back then?
Oh, that's easy. Freshes, jewelry, her locks, snow.
Jaya praised our village's fruits to the high heavens in his live stream.
So we just stuffed the rotten fruit into the boxes and shipped them out. Simple as that.
Did they really think they could keep it hidden forever? Did they take us for fools?
Do you think we'd let him find out? Anyway,
City folks are so easy to fool.
Rotten fruits can still be traded for cold, hard cash.
anyway, he's the one who sold these fruits.
If the sky falls, he'll be the one taking the fall. They won't be the ones paying anyway.
All rise.
Now delivering the verdict.
With the final strike of the gavel, the judge rules that they must fully compensate all of my losses.
The ringleaders who started the trouble are sent straight to prison to do hard labor. The gallery instantly erupts into a thunderous round of applause.
Even the experienced reporters can't hold back their anger.
Furious, they brutally lash out at these black-hearted villagers. The iron fist of public opinion, combined with the heavy hammer of the law,
completely leaves Li Dashuang utterly devastated. That was when it faintly clicked that he was absolutely doomed, so he scrabbled to save his own skin. I want to blow the whistle.
Someone else was fanning the flames behind my back. Facing a barrage of cameras and microphones, a terrified Li Dashuang spilled the beans, letting out every single piece of dirty laundry.
It turned out that ever since I helped everyone make a fortune last year,
a few lazy freeloaders in the village who didn't even grow fruit trees got absolutely consumed by jealousy.
They couldn't stand the fact that they weren't getting a cut of the money.
So, right at the start of the season,
these parasites started stirring up trouble everywhere.
They egged on the villagers to shortchange the customers, need to palm off rotten fruit to scam people.
Once greed takes hold, there is absolutely no stopping it.
The entire village followed suit,
and everyone jumped on the bandwagon to make dirty money. These scumbags even conspired with Uncle Lee to secretly withhold our premium fruit, selling it on the black market to pocket the extra cash. They even kept whispering poison in his ear, goading Uncle Lee to demand a cut of my live stream tips, because in the eyes of these ungrateful bastards,
they were the ones who made me famous and put food on my plate.
With the evidence being rock solid,
Li Dashuang and his stubs became despised street rats that everyone wanted to trash.
But it doesn't end there.
The elite legal team from neighboring Zhao village is already sharpening their knives, waiting to sue them into oblivion.
After all, when they barged in to cause trouble and snatch people that night,
they directly sabotaged Zhao village's business. Maybe, when the dust settles, the internet-wide backlash against them will slowly fade away. Putting all that trash behind me,
my live streaming career absolutely took off. My follower count exploded, and my independent brand finally established a rock-solid foothold. Backed by the powerhouse that is Zhao Village, we've joined forces in an unstoppable partnership.
Zhao Village's fruit and tourism industries instantly skyrocketed,
and my net worth and popularity soared right along with them.
Every single penny I make is clean,
and my victory is absolute. Now, this is what I call a perfect win-win.